Well, hello, it's Daisy Mack, and this is Spiritual Mixtape. Today, I have Michelle King back on the podcast because she has given me another quote that is so heartbreaking and true that really sums up last year for me and really like the last few years. And anyone that's on a spiritual journey will feel deeply into this quote. And I know that you've heard Michelle once before when we did, when people show you who they are, believe them. But I also want to just throw this out that I did an episode last year, letting people be wrong about you while keeping your peace and focus is the most misunderstood power move. Now, I've all told you that last year I was navigating the difference between a friendly working relationship and just people who say that they're in a friendly working relationship with you and they are not. They have no respect for your boundaries. They have just no respect for like a professional relationship. And I honestly it was more than once as well. So it was something in me that was keeping this pattern coming up. There was some sort of boundary I wasn't enforcing. But it was, thank you for sending me that first quote, because this is where this has all come from. This is the origin story of this whole thing that Michelle and I have going on beyond our friendship. Because it liberated me that day when you sent it to me. Letting people be wrong about you while keeping your peace and focus is the most misunderstood power move. Because I was in my head, because that's what people like that do to you. They want you to be out of your center because it shows them, or it allows them to behave the way they want to behave. It gives them zero, it allows them to not be accountable. They create this. And if you play into that and you bite at it, you're justifying their position even more. Do never allow that to happen. I see it actually in relationships with friends and people with their partner. Like if you have a partner that does that to you, get the F out of that whole situation.
Yeah.
And that is not what this episode is about. This episode is definitely a more tender quote, but because people really responded to that sentiment, to just walk away, to just let them be wrong about you, you don't give your energy away then.
Yep.
You actually reclaim yourself.
Yep.
And it's when you're hurt and when someone is like, you're like, you don't even understand why someone's rejecting you. Like you kind of want to play into, and that was what they want too, but
Yep. Because at that point you don't, you're not being authentic to yourself. And if you can just walk away and be like, right, it's some form of gaslighting, right? It's like, no, you're not that person. You're not this. And you're like, I'm happy for you to be wrong about me. It's okay.
I mean, I wish I could have had that. Like, I still feel like I hope that I just don't create situations where that can happen to me now.
Yeah.
But I think if I was in a situation where that happened to me, I would still be like, I'd be calling you like,
it's okay. We would talk it off and set a boundary and reset.
I definitely would not be like, hey, you could be wrong about me, toodaloo. So I just want to put that out there as well.
It's not easy. It takes practice.
I put these things out because I'm learning them too. And it does take practice. But oh my God, I really don't want to repeat that situation. Definitely trying to figure out what my point of attraction was there. And I will say that since you sent me that, I've not been in that situation. So I'm definitely taking some steps correctly.
Good.
But this is also beautiful. And I do think that it leans into that quote as well. When you heal yourself, you will offend those who are benefiting from your brokenness.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I know. And it's one of those, for me, this is one of those things that a lot of times I think the people who are offended, right, who were benefiting from you being broken, I don't always think that it's manipulative or it's, they know that they're doing it. A lot of times they have just experienced you in kind of this, dysfunctional, kind of not whole, not fully there way. And that's what they expect from you. And that's what they've learned to work with. And that's how they learn to take you. And when you start to heal yourself, I think you do things along the journey that disrupt their way of seeing you and their way of being with you. But the more dependent they were on that kind of brokenness and, unhealed self, the harder it gets and the more angry and upset that they get, right? When you start to heal those parts of yourself. And it's stuff like, what we've talked about before, right? When you start to trust yourself more, you start to lean into those things, people who were benefiting from you completely trusting them, corporations and the people you were working for, they're like, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't start to lean into your own self-trust. Keep trusting me. Like they lose control and they lose power over you. And I think that starts to become a really hard thing for people to accept. And this, right? And I think a lot of people who have done personal transformation will say, I started to heal myself and then I lost friends or people left my life. And the reason for that is because they were in love with the version of you that was broken and not healed and not feeling really centered in your own groundedness and your own power. And the minute you start to take that back, it becomes really uncomfortable for them.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Everyone can't go with you.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. Sad.
I want to take even the bad ones, like even those people I was just referencing. I feel like I don't want to leave them behind.
Well, they have to do the work themselves. I know. It's hard. It's a hard journey.
What if I hold open the door? What if I just...
You can hold open the door, but they got to walk through. You can't pull them through.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
You can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Absolutely.
So what do you say, or what's your advice then to someone who's feeling a little tender around this and has lost the friends and hasn't made the new ones yet?
Yeah. I would say
the new ones, but it's early.
It's early. They're still forming those strong bonds. For me, I think the thing that I would say is keep leaning into that power in yourself, right? Keep leaning into that healing and that transformation and the who you are now, not who you are before, because that person will attract, that energy will attract the people who are meant for you now. And, this is a lifelong journey. There's no arriving to a transformed state. We're always, moving, healing ourselves, looking at a new layer of whatever gets uncovered. And if you really lean into that and you embrace that part of you and that person you are today, you start to attract that energy and you start to attract those people. And you just have to invest in those relationships, right? Really double down on the relationships that feed the version of you today that is your highest self today. And then tomorrow and 2 years from now, you'll be a new version of yourself. And you've got to keep leaning into that self in order to attract the right people, in order to find those people and really deepen those relationships.
I would say that everyone I've worked with, and my business is relatively new. We're like 2 years in. So I haven't got like anything longer than 2 years with a client.
Yeah.
But I would say that always there's a family member where they're having this situation that they're like, because I teach breathwork. So they're like on a breathwork journey. They're like, the beautiful thing about breathwork is it actually does make you physically stronger. So you're mentally stronger, you're physically stronger, and you're like, I'm going to remove the people who don't. And then there's always this one family member that you're like, what's your advice in situations like that? And then
you don't
have
have
a
to
follow-up question as well.
Yeah. I would say you don't have to let people go completely. Like, it's not like push them out of your life and never see them again. But what I will say is the new healed version of you is going to have far less patience and tolerance for those people who don't. The stronger you get in that healing, they're going to get less patience and tolerance for the people who don't see that new version of you or honor that new version of you. So spend the least amount of time that you can with them. Don't get sucked in. Don't let them suck you into that energy of who you used to be. We've all heard this, right? Whether it's from a partner or a family member or a friend, like, you used to be so blah, blah, blah. And now today you're this. And the answer is yes, I am. I purposely did that. I'm growing and developing and learning and healing myself. And so I intend to show up as a different version of me. Thank God. I don't want to be the same version of me I was 10 years ago. She had a lot going on. She needed to heal. And I'm hoping in 10 years from now, I'm even more transformed and even closer to this higher version of myself. And so the people who can't come along, it's like limit your time, your space, and your energy with them. A lot of people will say you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If some of those people are people who are stuck in the past version of you or this unhealed kind of dysregulated version of you, they're only going to continue to want you to be in that place because it works for them. It's how they know you. So you've got to limit how much you spend with them and how much you give them of you.
So this is my follow-up question with it. The other thing I see people doing when they get further along in the journey is the person that they've cut out, usually a family member, or not cut out, but they've limited. They're like, I feel like I have strong enough boundaries now that I can have them back in my life.
Yep.
And at Thanksgiving or family birthday, I'm going to be able to keep my cool. Yep. Because I know what they're going to say over and over and over again. But I don't want to not have them in this memory.
Yep.
I think that's the most beautiful place that you can get to.
Yep.
But what's your advice as people start to do that as well? Like, as they start to be like, okay, because it does I find people can get super triggered again.
For sure.
Especially because it's so stressful. Do you think that they should have a trial run, like not during a birthday?
Or like maybe a phone call. Let's start with a phone call. I would say a couple things. Get yourself grounded in that boundary, right? When we set new boundaries, they're new and we have to work at them. We have to, it's really great to say, I have this new boundary and here's how I'm willing to be treated and here's what I want. But until someone tests it and like pushes the edge of the fence, you don't actually know how strong you are in that conviction. And so I would say set it as early as you can and then do things that get you grounded before Thanksgiving or the birthday. For me, that's things like breath work, or like sitting and meditating for a little while and like why this is so important to me, right? Really connecting back to the feeling it on a soul level. Where do I feel it in my body? Because it's so important to me. What's the emotion attached to it? Because then when those people start to trigger you, you're able to see it and then you can really get yourself back kind of grounded to that place. And phone a friend. Like if you, if you're in that situation, just run to the bathroom and call a Daisy, call a Michelle, like find the person that you can be like, okay, I need you to ground me again and why I'm doing this and why I'm here, because it's not easy and it takes practice and it takes work, but the stronger you get in it and the easier it becomes, practice what you'll say to them when they start to cross that boundary. Like the things that are going to help you in those moments, I think are little micro things, but if you can do them, you get stronger. And then the next time they're not gonna trigger you. They're not going to as much, right? You're like, okay, that's just how you are. That's okay. That's your thing, not mine. I don't have to take it on.
Thank you, Michelle. And you just named this segment, Phone a Friend.
Good.
Phone a friend. Like, thank goodness you're in my life, because the amount of SOS text messages, can I call you? And this is what life's about. Like, we're all connected. Lean on your friends.
Yeah.
I've been talking a lot about like living in freeze mode, which is the place I've come out of because of the PTSD. And the worst symptom I had was how isolated I felt.
Yeah.
And I wish that somebody had said to me over and over again, phone a friend, build that muscle, phone a friend, keep leaning on your people.
Yeah.
And you will get to the other side. Michelle, you're amazing as ever. You are a conscious leadership advisor and neurosomatic coach in the real world. Where can people find out if they literally want to digitally phone you? Where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Michelle Joy King on LinkedIn. My website is www.michellejoyking.com. I'm Michelle Joy King on Instagram. So look for me anywhere and reach out. Yeah, reach out.
Michelle is your business/friendship agony aunt. It's another role she's taking on when she's not breathing new life into corporate America. Michelle, as always, thank you for being my friend, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thank you.